world class. You never see anything tricky. Why? Because trickery relies on there being a skill discrepancy. Solid mechanics rely on, we are assuming that our partner is as good as us, as big as us, as strong as us, and as fast as us. So we have to own them. And to own them, we have to control them, whether we're on the top or the bottom. So, I'm going to show a mechanic that can be applied from anywhere. On the ground, on your back, in the guard, on top, from mount, whatever. Don't worry about his wrist. You can later go ahead and grip his wrist with one hand if you want. Right? And you started it correctly. You started it here. The arm bar is about attacking the shoulder. So if I'm in here, and I'm just going to do one of many, right? But my idea is, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make him pay for this. I'm going to put weight on it. And I'm going to crush it. I'm going to take the air out of it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my angle. I'm not going to attack 90 degrees off his shoulder. The arm is really strong this way. It's not so strong this way. If I'm more distal, this way is inherently difficult because he's going to roll into me. But I'm not distal. I'm close to his body because this is what I have to control. So, and this is the same thing that we were doing with throwing. It's just now we're on the ground. So all I'm going to do now is I'm going to step up. Right? If he's on his back and I'm squatting over him, I'm going to clean. I'm going to hook here, tie in, and lift. Right? Now I'm going to use the foot behind because this is going to feed into what we're going to do. And it's going to show you kind of a technique that's little referred to, but really good guys do whether they realize it or not. But here, now when I sit down, I just hug. His shoulder is already compromised. Right now, he can't base. He's got no base to roll. My hips are right on his shoulder. The fulcrum is right up here. So now all I do is I sit here for a second, I take a minute, I say, oh, do I want to just tap that shoulder out? No. No, I hook here, and I pull it back. I haven't even put my trademarked, by everyone, hip drive into it yet. Because I've already got that arm pulled out. It's already vulnerable. I've taken away the structure. I've gotten the position before I locked in the submission. I'm not worried about it. Right? Sliding out here to the wrist, even if he's up here, frees the shoulder. It's now loose. And we're going to assume he's as good as us, as strong as us, and as fast as us. So when I come down, that ability becomes more prevalent. And now he does the classic roll into me, and I'm out of position. Right? Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go here. Now I'm going to assume it's you doing it to me or him. Right? You're bigger, you're smaller than us. Not as strong as us yet. One day you'll probably be stronger, right? You eating your vegetables? You've got to always work a public message theme in, right? Offset the bad language. So now as I roll forward, now I had a jiu-jitsu guy once told me wrong angle. Really? Seems like the right angle. Can't pull that arm back. I'm so tight he can't roll in because he's got no point to pivot off of. I own that shoulder. So now I take my time. But he's freaky strong. Oh, I've left that hand here. Right into the slicer. Or let the head go right into the slicer. Because I'm already controlling that shoulder. I can do this lock. You'll see it in our gym. You'll see guys here and they'll tap out. Because their shoulders are already being... I'm jacking his shoulder. The elbow is just the next step. Right? So no matter what you're doing, the key is taking up space, understanding the fulcrum, understanding the leverage, and getting him in a position where he can't move. Not good position here on your hip. You're either working from edge to edge on your back, or you're basing and trying to get up. Not so good. So what I want to do is I want to swing in. Right? So when I come in, here, and it's that hip thrust that we do on completion for the joint lock, we do here. There's no way he's getting out of that. Right? Even if I have a TIA, a small mini temporary stroke, he's not getting out of this because I'm so tight. Right? I forget what I'm doing. I start thinking about my kids. Oy. And now maybe I grab his wrist and pull it back. That's okay, but look at all that space. That's a lot of work. I'm just going to hug it. This is a lover sport, not a fighter sport. I go up, I hug it, and now my grip isn't tired. Right? So I'm fresh for the next match. All right, so switch the other arm. What's that? Oh, so with this foot on the back of the scapula, what's going on? What's going on is the foot over the head is obviously important. For your arm bar, control the head first. 90% of the time you control the head first, because where the head goes, the body goes. With this top foot, what we have to be thinking about is it's not just laying here, it's actually pulling back on the side of the neck. Okay, the clavicle, whatever your verbiage is, it's right in here. This back foot is on this, it's not in here on the back where he can lay on the foot. It's actually helping to isolate the shoulder. So come, if you can't see in the mirror, what I want is I want my foot right in here on the back side of the scapula. Because what that does is if I press right here and he tries to move his shoulder, rotate his arm back, it limits its ability to move. The scapula has to rotate in order for us to abduct. Right? So if I press here and do this, I've broken his ability. I've taken some of the muscle out of this joint. So this foot is stuck right here. And when you guys were doing the no leg, or this one where you're jamming it in here, you've got to jam it into that scapula. If you just jam it into the armpit, it's not going to work. Not against a strong guy. It's got to be set here. So this foot's over in here, right? So now he's loaded. Now this knee pinch is isolating this shoulder, right? Let me let go so there's no pain. Go ahead and move, Vince. He can't move because he has no base. And my whole body's in here. Now, as I start to set this, if he clamps down, I can set. I can lay my body out to that angle. Remember what I said about not gripping and pulling by using your body? Well, here's that strategy. Right? At that angle. He wants it, I give him the blooming bounce. Oh. You want it? Go get it. Give it to him. You take him the other way. He doesn't want me to go this way. He can only control one direction at a time. He can keep me from pulling out, but he can't keep me from turning the corner. So I get him to commit to a direction. Which way do you want? Oh, you want that way? Okay, I'll go this way. Which way do you want? You don't want me to let me go this way? Well, I'll come out this way. Physiologically, it's impossible to control more than one direction at a time. By being tight, it allows us to augment that angle by using our body rather than using our arms and levering. What I like to equate it to is the way that I first learned it was the way most folks were doing it. Even if they were getting a good loop up here, which some of you did, you were out here on the wrist. You're going to miss. Right? You're going to catch the guys when you catch them in movement. You're not going to catch them from a position of control. Because the minute you start moving, you have no control. You're catching it fishing with a net. I don't want that. I want to drop dynamite into a barrel and have them float to the surface. There's nowhere for them to go. Okay? The reason for this difference, it's very subtle, but the reason for the difference is because when we go to the legs, we have to use this principle because the legs are so much stronger. And so what we do down here has to be represented from what we do up here. Okay? So let's just try that. Do it two ways. Step in. Either take your gable or take your figure four grip. And instead of jumping up, I want you to do one with a very classical back leg technique, which is you're going to pivot. And that foot's going to slide in, pop up, pull in, and down. If there's no elevation in their back and shoulder, you're too far away. Okay? The other one I want you to do is I want you just to start right here and start in this position, but start bent over. Okay, so now he's got a real nice tight, and we're not going to kill his arm. All we're going to do is we're going to do a clean. Right? Whew, like we're doing a clean where we drop our hips, shoot underneath it, and straighten our back. That's going to pop this arm out. Here's the other thing. You'll have less elbow injuries because you're never shock locking. You're always locking in a position of control. There's no need for speed.